See a wee question there from Doug, um, saying that we get an update on your meter. Um, Unfortunately, yesterday I came up short in terms of getting an answer from my energy company regarding when they're going to do a revisit. At the moment, my downstairs hall is in a bloody mess because of what I had to do to prepare, so I'm not best pleased about it. So you'll get an update as soon as I know what's happening. All right.
Richard says we keep our eyes on the prize. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're flowing in the door now. We're at 30. So it's you're basically getting the runaround for this mob, aren't you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just. I think they came back on yesterday after having been dead nice to me and wanting to know what tests I had done and how much I thought the meter was out by. And I went, no, you're not getting that information. You want that information, you send your man, you fit the check meter, and you check it out for yourself.
Guess who's not working tonight? Guess who's not working tonight?
Oh yes, you. No. I thought it was just Ginger.
No. Red hand grenade. Those guys are made of sturdier stuff than iron brew, dear boy.
Oh, I find iron brew quite uplifting.
The first of the Facebook comments coming up, so we know that it's working.
Yeah,
so if one on board will waffle a lot of push for a wee bit longer.
You have to understand. Mr. McGuinness likes to have alcohol every now and then. With me, it's like I do it on drugs. I just need to stop quickly.
Listen, I dare say when I get to your age, I'll probably have slowed down on having a beer my day off,
Hey, think you, I could have a beer every day if I wanted to. Huh?
So could I. Just means I'll be sat up half a night reading news and shouting at my computer screen like a loony. The neighbours wouldn't like it.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Robert. How you doing?
Right, anyway, we were out. 85. We'll get a couple more seconds, then we're going to go on. Hi, Chris. Jen, I suppose we better mention a few people. Doug, Stuart, Robert the Bruce, Fiona. I'm just scrolling up. We'll see who we hit. Hi, Barbara. John the van driving legend, still a driving god. Let us know how you're going with that reset, John. Gingers, good morning in America. Kevin, we've already had Doug. And the first one in the door of the day was Alexander Thompson, a wee wait with glee. All right, so let's start with the electioneering that went on yesterday here in Scotland, shall we?
Yeah.
And Rishi Sunak's 100 new licences to max out, as the headlines are saying, the North Sea.
He's basically bottoming our account, as it were, in terms of oil and gas. He wants to extract as much revenue as he possibly can from the North Sea, right? And to be honest with you, he's going to achieve it, guys. He's going to do it.
It's also a political reason, as you know. The Tories had that area in the North East. They want to hold on here. After all, they are going to take a kicking in this next election.
Yeah.
So, the timing is about right. And of course, the announcement that the Acorn carbon capture scheme will now be financed to create thousands of jobs in construction while it goes up, I suppose. And then, no really, because the infrastructure is already there, so we're only talking about a couple of pumps, so the thousands of jobs are a lot of fish.
Well, I listened to a bazooka, let's call him, who'd written a book on Not Zero, it's called, right? And he was explaining to somebody interviewing him on Talk TV, not the GB News, but the other right wing one, Talk TV, right?
Right.
And he was saying that, oh yeah, carbon capture it's a well tried and tested technology, whereas all the other things like wind farms and solar and all the rest, these are untried and tested. We don't know about these. And I went, what are you talking about? You know,
the carbon capture scheme won't work anyway, because as we know, these bloody holes fall up with oil again because they're only tar pits.
This is the one thing that before all the thing about Russia and all the rest of it, right? The one thing I did listen to the Russians about was that every time somebody mentions the phrase fossil fuels, then the Russian scientists all fall about laughing because they went, it's not fossil fuel. Fossils don't exist below 20,000 feet, right? And they're drilling well below 20,000 feet.
Right, let's have a wee look what Ginger's going to say here. Apparently there's a backlash on carbon capture and storage because it can leak and kill people and animals, and they are fighting it over here.
Well,
but right, apart from that, these empty cavities that they'll be emptied out under the ground, the substances that were there originally will eventually find their way back into these cavities again anyway, because that's how we got there in the first place.
I hope you understand that carbon dioxide can kill you.
Oh, yes.
In actual fact, I remember when I used to live down in England, we had the big ICI plant and all the rest of it, right? And all these roads going through that industrial estate had every now and then a bus stop. You know, one of the glass bus stops, do you see, right? The lad stood in there waiting for a bus, and the carbon dioxide came out of the stank next to it, filled up the bus cubicle, right?
Aye. Of course it did.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Starmer on the other side of the equation said he would stop oil and gas, but he's chuffed to hell that these licenses have been announced. This is political crap that's being spewed here because the UK's credit card is maxed out. It needs revenue. Expect under the next government to see the tax regime in the North Sea again changed back to what it was.
Yeah.
So that the Exchequer starts raking in huge amounts of money because the UK, as we know.
The other news that we're going to cover on that, but you know, the one that we're going to get to later on is where whiskey has been put up to 75%.
There's no point in having a running order with you ban pot.
I know. I'm just.
Anyway, we're still on stupidness or maxing out. Now, there's another side to this, of course. If the climate scientists are correct, then it shows that the UK's commitment to net zero is just pie in the sky.
It's not happening. I mean, we had COP26 in Glasgow, and we heard all the promises being made, especially by the Tories who were up here grandstanding and saying, "Oh no, it's our climate change conference, right?" You know, fine, that was okay. They made all kinds of promises. Nothing happened, and then we had COP27 happened, and still nothing has happened, right? These people are being stupid because I believe there will be at some point a very real backlash against individuals, that is.
I did one with class action. All England's GDP $2.5 trillion, and there's a national debt at 100.8%. Yes, we're aware of that. We spoke about it.
Yeah.
Now the other side here, of course, apart from the climate crap and the fact that the UK badly needs the money, and the grandstanding by Keir Starmer, even though that when he gets into office he'll change the tax regime and he'll take advantage of the Campbell oil side. You know, the dog, they'll extend licenses to all the areas that can extend licenses to. You can bet your boots on that. So, and it'll just be wee tweaks. It'll be massive tweaks in the tax regime, but it'll be enough to pacify the oil companies because they'll still be making vast amounts of money. Which brings us to their profits, of course, which have been bloody outrageous. We've heard the BP and Shell's profits again, and whimpering that it's 50% less than what it was for the same quarter the year before. You say to yourself, so what? You know, they'll probably just move the tax liabilities elsewhere.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak's family have just signed up a huge multi-billion-dollar deal with BP, and they did that knowing that he was going to do a deal for putting up another 100 licenses in the North Sea. As far as I'm concerned, there's no other name for that. That's insider trading, because you cannot say that Rishi Sunak didn't know anything about what he was going to do with 100 licenses.
Now, David, say that again. Rishi Sunak's family is implicit in buying shares in BP, did you say?
Yeah, basically, hang on a second, I'll bring it up.
Aye, bring it up.
Yeah. Let me just get this up.
Hold on, I need to get paused. I'm wondering why I'm struggling as deep as a fucking doorpost.
Yeah, is that? I think that is it. Sure. That's it.
Sorry, what's that?
I've had an extra screen, so it's confusing the hell out of me. Yeah, the headline is Sunak's family firm signed a $1 billion deal with BP before the PM opened new North Sea licenses. It's like when you're in a position that Rishi Sunak is, with regard to opening up new licenses in the North Sea, and his family sign a big deal with BP, that's insider trading. There's no other way you can. Yeah, there's no other way that you can sort of say what's happened there. He had prior knowledge that he was going to open up these licenses, and why on earth are his family doing a deal with BP then? Are they unconnected? Is it just coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences.
No, that's definitely insider trading, David. But as we know, Sunak's been guilty of that before. In fact, the whole of that criminal cabal has been guilty of that before.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at Liz Truss and her fiasco, you know, they all had prior knowledge and they all bet against the pound.
Yeah, the one thing is, insider trading is very, very difficult to prove, because you've got to prove what was inside somebody's mind. In other words, right? And the only way you can do that is maybe join the dots to say what they've done, what the family's done, as opposed to what they've done, and go, hang on, these two are connected.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Right, let's move on to the bad news for the people of England and Wales. Oh, Christ, Phil, thank you very much. Oil and gas in the UK is imported, it's extracted by private companies and bought at a global price. Centrica is both a producer and a supplier. They don't pay market price for gas they extract, they benefit from price cap. Well, the truth in that, Phil. But we're going to move on, and thanks very much for such a generous donation, really. Now, let's move on to bedroom tax in England and Wales to remain under the next Labour government, which started in our Stussy with the left wing and the Labour Party, who are leaving the Labour Party in droves, as we already know. Looks like the net benefactor of that could well be the Lib Dems. Will that let the Tories sneak in by the back door? That remains to be seen. Bets are still on a hung parliament, David. But this has a knock-on effect here in Scotland, because since this came in, I think it was 2012, 2013, the Scottish Government has spent £668 million mitigating the bedroom tax, meaning that the Scottish budget, they give back to Westminster 668 billion quid so far, billion quid so far, to mitigate that tax, so that the social contract in Scotland remains fair, equal and equitable, and we're not putting people out of their houses. Now, last year it was 57.6 million, I think the figure said, that the Scottish Government had to send to the UK Exchequer to mitigate the tax.
Isn't it stupid, David? Isn't it stupid? Here we are, we're supposed to be part of this so-called union, And here we are, our Scottish government's having to give away its money to the Treasury in London to pay for something that the Parliament in London have brought in. Ridiculous. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, apparently because of inflation interest rates rises and inflation, this year it's went from 57.6 to 68.5 million. We're going to have to give.
Why is that being affected by inflation? Can you explain that to me? It's a tax amount. Tax amounts aren't generally affected by inflation, are they?
I couldn't tell you. I imagine that the tax amount is affected by the interest rate, which is affected by inflation.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not going to only go with the figures that the Scottish Government have issued.
Yeah.
To say that these are the reasons for the increase and this is what the increase is going to be.
Yeah.
I have no reason to doubt them. And no doubt the Treasury's told them what the increase is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the Treasury would have done that legwork for them and said, this is your bill unless you impose this tax in Scotland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's deplorable that Labour are not going to reverse this. It's a bit like a two-child cap thing, which was population control. This is an adverse effect on people in England and Wales, and I think the figure that was bandied about was 400,000 families are now in temporary accommodation because of this tax.
Yeah,
they could no longer afford to rent the accommodation they were in.
It's ridiculous. For that to happen to any people is the most ridiculous thing in the world, because you've managed to find a nice street and you've got a nice wee house that maybe you're renting, and it so happens that house has got one extra bedroom other than what you actually need. Therefore, you're getting penalised for it.
Thank you, John.
That's not on.
Lemon character raising both his thumbs up. Yeah. See Daily Blasey there. Hi, Daily Blasey. Nice to have you aboard again.
Yep.
And Class Action, thanks very much for such a generous donation. Right, so we're back at what's the point of Labour?
Yeah. There is no point to it.
But we really do have to give them their due. The people who vote Labour were duped by a man who stole a political party by 10 lies. 10 lies.
Mm-hmm.
A man, he actually stole a political party and is now rewriting its DNA to make it a Tory party. Something like that. He says that's what they're going to do to survive in England, rewrite their DNA to be Tory, and he is doing that no longer. The People's Party claims to be the Workers' Party, not the People's Party anymore. In the past, it was the People's Party. Now it's the middle classes. And the upper classes are chasing. And it's time the trade unions drew them up short with withdrawing their money.
Well, the trade unions have. They've been pulling them up all the time. What I can't understand is why the people in Scotland who have voted Labour in the past, what they call Scottish Labour, but there isn't a Scottish Labour Party. Anyway, that's another story. Why they're bothering to vote for Scottish Labour or Labour? It doesn't fit anymore. It's not socialism anymore. In actual fact, it's going to come to a point you vote blooming Labour, you're right wing, because that's what the party are.
Yep. As I say, but it's time. And even if your trade union is going to continue to subby the Labour Party, individual members have the right to withdraw funding for the Labour Party. So the onus should be on the individual members here. And as we know up here in Scotland, en masse, members no longer donate to the Labour Party.
Yeah, but David, by and large, people, that's their union sub. It just goes in, they forget about it. You know what I mean? And doing something about it means they've got to go and seek out the blooming shop steward and get a form and all that. You know what I mean?
Members, you're right, when new members have the opt-out box as they sign up,
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to one that was getting right up my tree yesterday, and that is muscular unionism. There's a timeline here, folks. It goes all the way back to 2014, actually, when Neil MacDonald, the ex-Labour MP for the north of Glasgow, said, now that we've won the argument, we're just going to paint it, strip all the powers out of Holyrood and paint it the wounded. Anyway, that was the start of it. Fast on the heels of that came the disregard of the Sewell Convention. Right?
Yep.
Which was a major, major step for starting to undermine the Holyrood Parliament. And then we start to see them actually get muscular, dragging us into court, so the child, the right to enshrine the rights of the children under the UN Charter into Scots law. Basically a section 35 on that. We then fast forward to the denial of Scotland's right to a referendum in the Supreme Court because of the 1998 Scotland Act. Then we have Alistair Jack, which we'll get to a wee bit later, imposing the Section 35 because of the Internal Market Bill. What we're seeing is a strip out of the Scottish Parliament here, and this is the union, this is the state flexing its muscle. And we're now at the point where we've got the Secretary of State, better known as the Governor General, Alistair Jack, writing to the First Minister to help me cease and desist and shut down all conversation on independence for Scotland. Talk about drastic.
And the interesting one is the response from Hamza Yusuf on that.
Aye, fuck off.
What was it, David?
Fuck off.
Yeah, basically that's it. And that is what we're needing. We need for muscular unionism to be met with muscular Scottish
civic nationalism.
That's right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that civil disobedience is off the cards. It just means it has to be peaceful.
Yeah.
We have mass civil disobedience movements here, like no paying the TV license. Here in Scotland, there is the fewest prosecutions for not having a TV license, and there's the highest number of people who say, well, get it up, you were not paying your TV, your propaganda tax. You know?
Yeah, what we have now in Alistair Jack that's doing this is a fascist government, and he is now in Scotland being the front face of that fascism.
He's being the front face of imperialism and all, if you like. He's acting like a Governor General. Do you imagine the balls that you have to write to the First Minister of Scotland and say, by the way, if you don't, you can't talk about us, or to tell the people of Scotland you can't talk about us. You know, and the idea as well is they're going to reform the rules in the civil service to outlaw, to make it against working practices for the civil servants of Scotland to work on prospectuses for independence. Have you ever heard anything preposterous?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, this is what we're talking about with muscular unionism. People have never taken it that seriously, but there is a timeline there, and it is getting more threatening. It's becoming more oppressive. Yeah. This subject you are forbidden to speak about is what Alistair Jack is saying. This subject you're forbidden to mention in a so-called democracy.
By the way, Robert Bruce has just put up £172 for your TV licence next year, folks. Let's not forget that those old age pensioners who did not pay for a TV licence have now had that benefit removed. The old age pensioners have to pay for a TV licence.
Unless they're on pension tax credits. Let's get this correct. Don't want to throw in false information, David.
Okay.
So if you're a pensioner and you qualify for pension tax credits, you still qualify for a free TV license. If
you're a pensioner and you don't qualify for pension tax credits, you
just don't pay it.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Just don't pay it.
Yeah.
But muscular unionism is their answer. It's shut up, jock, get back in your box. This subject is forbidden. That subject is forbidden. You will not pass laws on this issue. You will not speak about that issue. You know, this is basically what happens they're not going to be able to commit the acts of violence they have in other colonies that have been prepared to leave. But there is a scorched earth policy here, max out the North Sea, you know, a weaken the economy, whacking the biggest export, food and drink wise, with huge tax rises, but we'll get there because that's coming up. But so muscular unionism seems to be their idea. They think they're going to be able to bully us. Job, get back in your box. And by the way, if you speak about these things, we're going to sanction your government. Sanction in a union of equals. Oh dear. Oh dear. I wonder when they're going to sanction the West Midlands because the mayor did today something they didn't like. I wonder when they're going to sanction London when the mayor does something they don't like. I wonder when they're going to sanction Andy Burnham and Birmingham for doing things that they don't like. This doesn't just apply to Scotland. Once they get down this slippery slope, it'll apply to all the other devolved parts of the UK, and there are devolved areas in England as well, and there's Wales. Wow. So, muscular unionism, it's actually just the state trying to impose and oppress their opinions on people, or impose and impress their opinions on people, which takes us back to the uselessness of the mainstream media, which is why you and I do this, and all the other bloggers and bloggers out there day by day, because we understand that the media is a letdown. It no longer holds truth to power. It actually sets the narrative on behalf of power.
Yeah, well, I remember the Supreme Court using the word oppressed and saying that the Scottish people are not oppressed. I would say, definitely, in this one, we're oppressed.
Yes.
The moment you've got a Governor-General saying you can't talk about this, that, or the other thing, that's oppression.
Right, let's move. Let's move on. Christmas Tales, EU 27 to ignore UK on post-Brexit trade. Now, we'll get into the meat and two veg of this one, shall we? What's happened is that the Westminster government is once again trying to break an international agreement. Now, under Boris's Brexit deal, when it comes to end of day with trading with the bloc, the UK has got to deal with the Commission because they deal with trade for the bloc.
Yeah.
But what the UK government's been doing is bypassing the treaty that they signed with under Boris Johnson and asking individual member states to tell them about their preparedness for the checks that are coming in October. Because as we know, the last of the Brexit checks when it comes to imports and exports are coming in the next couple of months, October and January supposedly. Now the UK is trying to kick it down the line, but it's not going to happen. They've been dealt. So they've bypassed the Commission and put out a survey to ask each of the member states, depending on how prominent they are with UK trade, what their preparedness is. Now they get a rap full of knuckles by the EU Commission, and the UK government has, and the EU Commission then sent a memo to the 27 member states to give the UK as minimal information as native minimal information because they have to deal with us.
If you go onto the Border Force website, you'll see that where they were looking to employ lots of extra people to help Dover Run or Felixstowe or whatever the port is, it's like they're now not going to. They can't get the staff. They can't get them trained up for some reason. They're talking
up to strength on staff, which was 50,000 they had to hire. They're talking nobody up to strength on staff to 2027 at the earliest because of training and things like that. Hiring and training.
So at the end of the day, David, when we look at all of this, and we look at all the evidence, and we look at basically what they're going to be doing is flagging trucks and all the rest of it through. Right, come on that way. Never mind. Let me go. Get through. Right.
They're saying that David, they're not going to be allowed to do that after the 31st of October because that's when things will really hit the fan.
But what if they do it?
There's two things that are going to go away.
David, but what if they do it? Regardless of not being allowed to, right? the UK government are not allowed to do that, not allowed to allow that. But what if they do? And what I'm seeing at the moment is I'm seeing that this is possible. They're going to try and do it. Just flag them through.
Right. But that's what they've been doing so far. But these checks are supposed to be coming in. Now, in the event that they do bring these checks in, folks, that's going to have massive inflationary pressures. It's going to snarl up the ports. We're going to see bigger shortages in supermarkets than what we see at the moment. So it's not a good. I mean, and as David says, you've got companies here in the UK looking to the border force, looking to customs and excise to find out what they have today, and they are getting no information whatsoever. So a new tranche of red tape coming in. Brexit was supposed to do away with red tape. A new tranche of red tape coming in. Companies can't cope with it. Companies are going to go out of business because of it. Contraction in the economy continues. Inflationary pressures because goods coming in are going to be harder to get your hands on. So when commodities are rarer, the price of the commodities go up. So the reversing trend in inflation right now is about to go back into a hyper cycle where it will rise again.
Yeah. And last week, just for example, you had the start of the English holiday. So what was in the papers? Everybody getting stuck at Dover. 2 hour wait for getting through Dover on your hauls, right? It's like, these people that are going to Dover to actually get on a boat, I feel sorry for them, because they're sat there watching their holiday disappearing. Oh, we've missed that boat, or we've done this, or whatever, and it's all down to mismanagement by the UK government. Simple as that. They had the choice after the Brexit vote to maybe keep the single market or the customs unit or whatever, and it could have made things much easier. But no, they didn't.
No. But anyway, so the long and short of it is that the UK government has been trying to break the international agreement they signed with the EU again. Eventually, the EU are going to have to say enough, and there'll be sanctions. But it once again tells the rest of the world not to get any proper trade negotiations with the UK, because agreements don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
And eventually, the WTO and the EU will sanction the UK.
Do you remember when we had the talk about other EU countries looking to actually create a Brexit of their very own? Right at this moment in time, there's nobody thinking about it, right? Don't be daft. You want to end up like the UK? Is the word that's going around, right? So there you go. Even the people in Greece are not even considering. Right, there you go.
Right. Right. So as I say, once again, Westminster and is being seen as a bad faith actor on the world stage.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. UK Treasury to increase tax on Scotch whisky to 75% from 64.9%.
If you consider that one, right, we worked out as being like an extra 10%, didn't we? Right?
Yep.
So you figure in New York, a bottle of Famous Grouse is like $25, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add another $2.50 on the tax. So it's now $27.50 being sold for in their stores where you can buy whiskey. It's like just a raise like that, it'll just put people off.
Of course it will.
They'll just. And yet you figure on the high quality whiskies like the Talisker and all the rest of it, where like £40 a bottle or whatever, right? And and countries like America and Denmark, and Sweden, they love these lovely, really, really high value whiskies. Yeah, I'll buy another $4, whatever, €4, whatever. It's going up by 10%, and that's the base cost. So you would imagine working off a base cost, the profit will be a percentage of that, so it'll go up more than just $4 or whatever.
True. Just for a bit of fun, because there was a false post flying around there saying the AOR contributed to the UK exchequer than a Birmingham Greater Birmingham area as a whole. Obviously not. But anyway, we went to the source. One of the people who posted this, we says, "Where do you get the source of this?" And anyway, he went on a wee bit digging, and he tells us they all Ireland produces 20 million. Ailey. So the Isle of Ailey, sorry. He produces 20 million bottles of whiskey a year.
Yeah.
And we worked out that when the tax goes up to 75%, then that particular single island will be contributing 450 million quid to the UK.
Nearly half a billion. Nearly half a billion.
Nearly half a billion quid to the UK Treasury. Now, we're going to thank Doug Coakley for that wee bit of insight into how much whiskey is being produced on the Isle of Ireland. Right, so, but you think about that one wee island, and Doug come back and tell me there's hundreds of breweries, 190, I think it was, whiskey distilleries and 90 gin distilleries, and you imagine. But as we already know, when it comes to whiskey, prior to this hike in taxes against whiskey, there is more sitting in
whiskey bonds.
And liquid gold than what there is in actual gold in the Bank of England. I think that was valued at something like 75 billion, still to be collected by the time it comes round to being sold. Well, that's just went up to about 85, 95 billion.
Yeah.
And that would be much better. That would be much better going straight into a Scottish exchequer in the future and where it is going, where it's being wasted at the moment.
Yeah, the difficulty is start using that as an argument as to why Scotland could be independent, because a lot of things you still get off you. Oh, Scotland can't afford to be independent, right? And you start talking about, well, just in whiskey alone, we've got this amount sitting on our own land, waiting to go out the door, right?
Aye, waiting, because it can't be voted for 3 years at a time. That's a minimum it could be. Why?
Yes, because some of the whiskies are like minimum 10 years or whatever.
8 years to be qualified as a malt, So, but the UK Treasury is whack on the industry, of course. As you say, it's going to affect exports, but more importantly, it's also going to affect jobs here. It's also going to affect research and development and improving the product.
Yeah. I mean, so when you start stacking it up, Prime Minister is looking to empty Scotland. We know it can't be done because oil wells fill back up again, but looking to empty Scotland, right, to get money into the Treasury. He's looking to like maximise on the tax carried on a bottle of whiskey, right? What else is he going to do to us? What else is he going to do?
They're messing about with the surcharge to pay electricity into the national grid up here,
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a wind farm in Surrey, you get paid to put your money in. A similar project in Scotland, over the length of its lifetime, will probably pay £1 billion in taxes.
I seem to remember, was it Peterhead that had a carbon capture system ready to go, just needing the money to actually make it happen? This is going back a few years now, right? And it was a coal-fired power station, and it got closed because they were paying massive amounts on the feed-in tariff for putting energy onto the national grid.
Aye, it was the other side of the Forth there, the big one. Long Annet, his name was.
Long Annet, is that what it was? Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, the amount that Scotland pays in transmission taxes into the grid actually put Long Annet out of business.
Yeah. That was a ready and an oven-ready carbon capture scheme. There you go.
There you go. All right, then let's move on. Crown Office confirms police have they basically haven't put into the Procurator Fiscal of the Crown Office to say that any criminals happened in the SNP so far.
But the truth of it is, they're not going to find anything. If they haven't found anything after 2 years of investigation, and then maybe another few months of intense investigation, they're not going to find anything.
And so far, I believe the investigation is up to something like 668,000 quid.
Yeah.
A waste of taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take us to dig up the Electoral Commission's rules on how political parties spend their spend their money? It took about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It took another couple of hours to read it. It wasn't as if, what's up, can Police Scotland, they'll just Google it.
I think this one is going to actually take for Humza Yousaf to get in front of the cameras and say how ridiculous a situation this is now. I think it's now politically, it's a sore thumb. And the Crown Office have got to be told straight. The Crown Office are being driven by, I would imagine, Alistair Jack. So there you go. That goes back with your muscular unionism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aye, we'll get a wee bit more muscular unionism when we get further into the report and all. But we better get our skates on.
We don't know if
We
don't know if Alistair Jack's doing this. But the thing is, though, he's in the same building, I believe. Yeah? The head of the Crown Office is where he sits, isn't it?
No, I think he's got a new office now.
Is he? Okay.
Aye. But anyway, better get ready to get this article. I'll tell you this one prepared. Okay. Nuclear backup and Trident Rio over costs and dangers to Scottish public. So let's get into this, David.
Yeah.
Apparently, the new reactors for the subs they're building to take the Trident program forward.
I've got
read it.
This is. Do you want to just put it up? It's probably easier. Gives you a nice picture of us.
Take the last one down then.
It's very.
Green Room can only hold six items.
Yeah, sorry, mate. That one. There you go. Try now.
I've got a blank screen, David.
So am I. And it's no. There it goes. It just took. Are you getting it now? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. This is from the Ferret, which is writes a lovely blog every time it comes out. Trident nuclear project can't be delivered, says Watchdog. Who are the Watchdog? The Watchdog are the Infrastructure and Projects Authority, IPA, right? So the IPA has given a $3.7 billion reactor building project run by Rolls-Royce for the Ministry of Defence, MOD, a red rating for 22-23. The project was also assessed as red in 21-22, as reported by the Ferret. According to the IPA, nothing to do with beer, by the way, red means that successful delivery of the project appears to be unachievable. This is because of major issues that do not appear to be manageable or resolvable. Don't forget that Rolls-Royce are the company that the British government or the UK government are looking to produce mini nuclear reactors to be dotted all around Scotland to feed electricity into England. They don't want them in England because the people in England wouldn't like that. Anyway, the 2022 and 23 rating for another scheme crucial to renewing the Trident nuclear weapon system, a $1.9 billion construction project at the Fastlane and Coalport nuclear bases near Helensburgh, has been kept secret. In 2021 and 2022, it was assessed as red. The planned date for the final delivery to the Clyde of the new Dreadnought-class submarines armed with Trident nuclear warheads has been classified as confidential by the MOD. Not so confidential, is it, for the purposes of safeguarding national security. The Scottish National Party accused the UK government of desperately trying to hide how outrageously unaffordable the Trident programme had become. The Scottish Greens described the programme as a grotesque money pit. Campaigners criticised for the MOD for rewarding failure by throwing money at nuclear projects and for concealing truth about the problems and delays. They warned of everyday harms from the risks of radiation leaks as well as catastrophic accidents. I live 20 minutes by car from the front door of that place. I'm not happy. Yeah. So anyway, that's. I'm not going to read any more. Don't really need to. Yeah, I think you get the idea. So,
it's not possible. It's not possible, and it's a bloody danger to the Scottish people.
Yes.
And thanks, Dexter, for that kind donation.
Yeah. Thank you.
What sort of report is that to receive for the infrastructure body?
Yeah, well, it's just the people involved in the Infrastructure and Projects Authority. Don't forget this isn't a fly-by-night setup. This is like these are people that have been assessing projects that the government are involved with all the way through.
Class action says, can anybody hear the Benny Hill theme as David read that out? Aye, that's exactly what watching Westminster's like class action. It really is. But stupid's not just confined to Westminster, because we're going to get a private company that's getting stupid as the last item just to light things up.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll get that.
So basically, the new submarines aren't going to work because Rolls-Royce don't have the capacity to make a safe reactor to get into them. So far, 3.8 billion has been pissed up again. Sorry, 1.9 billion has been pissed up a lot of idea.
You know, the French can tell you all about reactor design, right? And they've been caught out many times in the past where they've actually done a reactive, say, an advanced gas reactor or whatever, and it doesn't work. No. You go all the way through of actually doing the design. You start doing mock-ups. You start building the design, and it doesn't work. So therefore, it's dangerous one way, or it's far too dangerous to put in your submarine, right? Which is an enclosed capsule with people in. So therefore, this one's a no-no.
Nah. So basically, the latest. What's the name again? The latest submarines.
Where are we? It's the
up away, David. Like it was a start.
Yeah.
The Hunter class or something like stupid. Huh?
No, bloody hell, man.
No, Polaris is the first.
Dreadnought.
Polaris is the first one. The current one's the Trident. So I guess Dreadnought makes sense. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
No, David, just a wee final word on that, right? Stop calling them. I hear people still using weapons of mass destruction, right? Start calling them what they are. Weapons of mass murder. Because they're not there to kill the politician that's caused this douchey. Like, if you sent nuclear weapons across to Russia to blooming kill Putin. No, Putin will be in his bunker somewhere in the far end of the blooming Siberian plains, right? It'll be innocent people, men, women, and children that end up having a skin temperature of 10,000 degrees centigrade.
So anyway, if they don't sort this piss out, it could be that you're going to get your ass blown up and I'm going to get my mind cooked.
Yeah.
Right, take that then, David.
To be honest with you, I've already got my mind made up. If the Russians fly with the nuclear weapons, I'm going to drive as quickly as I can to Fastlane and head the bomb to make sure I don't survive it. You know what I mean? So.
Right, let's move on. Circularity Scotland collapses with debts of 86 million, which turns out the Scottish Government's only probably liable for 2.2 million of. Right? The rest of it, the liabilities lie with the drinks industry, who have got liabilities of 9 million, and the recycling industry. And the biggest one to be hit is Biffa.
Yeah. How many people do you reckon are going to lose their jobs over this?
Well, we know there's 66 at Circularity Scotland, but Biffa, they've been whacked. I mean, they have been whacked because they had upskilled the recycling to the tune of a 66 million quid. So that's take the glass part of that. Let's say the scheme goes ahead for just tins. Take the glass part of that out. Then you're looking at a third of that workforce and a third of the facilities that they've created being jumped and at least or mothballed for at least 2 years until the backwater down the road catches up.
Yeah, that's a massive disaster for all these people involved, all their families and all the rest of
Well, they've built the infrastructure, they've hired the people, they've bought the fleet of vehicles that's going to be required to go and collect this stuff.
it. It really
I
is.
mean, production workers going to do this. They can mothball the plants because once England gets its arse in gear and we get a recycle scheme UK wide, then the mothball plants can come back in. But in the meantime, we've got the production, the people who are being hired to work in these recycle plants, they're all gone in the meantime. All the drivers that were going to man the fleets of motors, which were going to bring this stuff into recycle plants, they're going to find themselves no needed. The vehicles that they've leased, there's going to be penalties on returning the vehicles. So there's going to be a huge cost right across the economy here.
All because
unionism.
The Governor General decided that that's not going to happen. He didn't have any right to do what he did. He did it anyway.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that is hateful politicizing, muscular unionism.
But that's the whole point of muscular unionism, and it's a team that runs through this programme.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Scottish Labour opposed to the bedroom tax. Muscular unionism, Starmer, shut up, get back in your box job. And as for you, Wales, don't even open your mouth.
Yeah.
No, so we're seeing muscular unionism for both party, not just the Tories, but for Labour as well. Because let's face it, he said Starmer said under no circumstances will Scotland be allowed to say in its future.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But as I say, Circularity Scotland, direct 66 jobs. The Scottish government's liability is only about 2.2 million, but so take that away for the 86 million that it's went under in liabilities. That's a big whack in the face to the drinks industry. It's a big whack in the face to the recycling industry, and it's a big whack in the face to, of course, circular economy. Because at this point in time, we shouldn't be digging more shit up when there's plenty of lying about to be recycled. You know?
Yeah.
But people will then argue, what about the miners' jobs? The guys that dig this stuff up, you know. But the idea is to get to a point where we can live with the resources the planet has without having to decimate the population. So, but that was a real issue of circular unionism. Right. All right then, number 9. This is one that you brought up, and that is that the SNP leader in Westminster.
No, it's not very long. What I'll do is I'll read this one to you, right? Okay, this is directly from Shetland SNP. Okay, Westminster must match Scotland's 500 million Just Transition Fund. Stephen Flynn says Scotland has the energy, we just need the power. The SNP has challenged both Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer to commit to matching the Scottish Government's 500 million Just Transition Fund. Stephen Flynn MP, the party's Westminster leader, has said that if either leader is serious about a green renewable future, then matching the Scottish Government's 500 million Just Transition Fund is imperative. It follows the UK Government's announcement on carbon capture and storage in the north of Scotland after more than a decade of delays. Commenting, the SNP Westminster leader says, if Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer are serious about a green new renewable future, then matching the Scottish Government's 500 million Just Transition Fund is imperative. The SNP Scottish Government have exploited Scotland's successive UK governments have exploited Scotland's vast energy resources to bolster UK finances. They must now take responsibility and work with the Scottish Government to unlock Scotland's enormous renewable energy potential. From the US, the EU, countries across the world are pouring money into green energy gold rush. But with UK government moving at snail's pace, Scotland risks being left behind. At the next election, only the FNP are offering voters a real alternative with independence, which would give a democratically elected Scottish Government full control over energy policy and enable us to ensure the North East becomes the renewable energy capital of the world. Scotland has the energy. We just need the power. So, to be honest with you, Stephen's got a point. But if we allow the UK government to continue doing what they're doing, it's gone. It's all going the other way, right? And that the renewable future that we can all see every day. We've gone so far. We managed to get all these propellers up in the sky, right? And we've even got some tidal units down in the waters near Orkney and Shetland, right? Producing massive amounts of power. But it's all getting stopped. It's all getting sidelined. We need
all I've got to say on that is that even if the UK government did agree to match the Scottish government's funds, I see no real evidence that they're matching the 500 million for the Aberdeen City deal.
Yeah.
Or the Glasgow City deals. Or this levelling up pish they've been talking about. But as we get towards an election, we offered sweeties and sweeties and sweeties and sweeties. And as we get near the independence, they get more desperate to try and shut for talking down and offer sweeties to the people and all that. It's a bit like they did with the American Indians. Here, bobbles with one horn and bang up the heat with the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as we wind up, David, as you know, I wanted to talk about one of the funniest stories I've read all week.
Yeah, it has a potential to go far.
It definitely has, aye. Drones are in the news for two reasons this week.
So was that drones you said, David?
Drones,
yes. Yeah. Is that the thing that's shaped like a cross and it's got propellers at each of the ends of each cross? And it
well, they come out different shapes depending on what sort of drone you want. Some of them look like planes or missiles depending on what you're talking about. The ones that the Ukrainians have been dispatching to Moscow, well, that was more like a missile. But the best story and the funniest one for me is the Royal Mail has gone mad. They've decided that they are going to use drones to deliver mail across the Orkney Islands. So a good, I mean, come on, there's no shortage of a bit of wind up there. How big are these bloody drones?
Yeah, well, I remember it was quite funny. I remember seeing a bit of footage on Facebook, and it was supposed to be the crossing to Shetland on the boat, and the piano was making its way across, and people were sliding and all the rest of it, right? And that was really, really funny. Can you imagine? I mean, even a good-sized drone that you would actually send up with a weight on it, right, with a parcel or whatever, right? It's like, the kind of wind that they get exposed to. My goodness me, it's like Putin would be out there with his 12-gauge shotgun on in Moscow, looking at these drones coming right for Shetland and going, look, it's got the post office on Britain's blooming attacking us.
99 red balloons over again as we Mrs. McLumpers fire stick is caught up in the gale and head straight to Moscow. Well, they get a fair bit of wind up there, did they know?
You can imagine the operator. There'll be a wee video of the drone, the progression it's got to go, oh hell, that's Poland. Oh, that's Ukraine. Oh, we're getting near to Moscow. What are we going to do now?
Fuck me, Mrs. McLumpers and tell her fire stick's going to be late. Oh, Jesus. I mean, the short haul flight across the ocean but the short haul flights and the sailing boats getting disrupted, the ferries, and they're talking about I'll tell you what, these drones must be massive. They must be size of Sea King or something like that. Because you need something that big to fight the weather up there.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I did say Royal Mail had went mad, so and if we look at the way the services went since privatisation, yeah, fair game to them. If it works, it works. But if no, Mrs. McLumpers, phone the Kremlin, they'll get your fire stick.
If you want details on how a drone operates up in these bits of Scotland, I think the best one to talk to would be the ginger cat. Do you remember that?
Oh, aye. These are the military games, drone mine.
Yeah, and what he did was he got his other pictures of the work going on
Aye.
Clare Ridge place and all the onshore stuff. Interesting. I wonder what's happened to him. I actually met the guy. I forget his name now. But I met him at one of the SNP conferences just after, 2015 or whatever.
Post it regularly.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I just thought, the Royal Mail's lost the plot here. They're going to use drones to deliver mail in the Orkneys. Brilliant.
I can imagine in Clydebank where it's like they would keep it, it would get through. I need to avoid the aeroplanes coming into Glasgow Airport and things like that. But I can imagine it could be done. But when you get up to the northern parts of Scotland, the wind blows all the time. They wonder what energy rich. You put a propeller up at any size, it's going, you know what I mean? So there you go.
I think we've covered. I think we covered sausage fingers raise a 45 million quid to the public bus. We did that a couple of shows back.
Yeah.
Right, it's time to wind this one up. I hope you folks enjoyed the show. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it funny. I hope you found it. I hope it was entertaining. But that last one just cracked me up. I had to just.
Yeah, you lot didn't see him and I disappeared through the screen for at least 10 minutes laughing. I was on the floor behind me. David was the same. He had to go to the toilet because it was affecting his bladder. Yeah.
Right. So thanks very much to everybody who's made the donation today, and there's been plenty of them, and very generous all of you. As I say, the work's ongoing, and we'll let you know when the stuff, as it comes in, it will go, and we'll let you know who gets it and how much they get. Okay. Now, if you're on social media, right across your social media platforms, please share if you like what we do. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe. They say Facebook, our views are holding up very well. In fact, in Facebook, they're always up 1314. Some shows are up early too. So if you're on Facebook as well, if you like what we do, please share.
The Two Davies account is building back up again, guys, and thank you for anybody that donated today. But don't forget, you also have the option of doing it via backs or by direct transfer from your account directly into the Two Davies account. What I'll do is I'll see if I can put up a permanent link for that at the top of the Two Davies group. If you're not a member of the Two Davies group, I do suggest you join. It just makes sense because what we do is we put up a lot of stuff from.
That's a Facebook group, folks.
Yeah,
obviously, those on YouTube tend to avoid Facebook.
So we'll put up the account number and the sort code on that link, so it's clear at the top of the screen for you. Okay, so that just leaves for me to say bye, Davey, and bye,
Davey. Well, you sound like this man.